How's it going, Exile? So I have my final Ice Bomb build guide done now. Here you can see Zesh right now, which is a Pinnacle boss. This build is great for clearing Pinnacle bosses and speed farming maps. However, this time I'm gonna do my introduction a little bit different. So let's look at the bosses. Right now we're doing the King of the Mists here without any issues. As you can see, we can pretty much burst down this boss, even though in this fight we lose some minions due to the Twister. They happen to respawn fast enough to kill the boss just fine. Next on the list is Ordos, the Expedition boss. As you can see, he does significant AoE to our minions, but you know, little of them die, and then once they die, get resurrected by the clerics, so we can pretty much finish our burst without any problems and take down this boss just fine. Here you can see a random map boss. As you can see, we're doing a little bit over 2 million DPS on him, and this footage is actually a little bit older, so right now I would probably double the damage on this guy. And before we go to Expedition and Ritual, just one more map boss. This one is actually being done with me having a lot less damage, but you can see it still works just absolutely fine. Here's some expeditions. As you can see, I got the passive that I only place one single explosive and then blast the entire stack at once. So we are also dealing with expedition with absolutely no problems. We don't really have trouble with the very strong mobs anymore, and same pretty much goes for Ritual, which is up next. So I was having a lot of trouble due to my skeletons dying too fast in Ritual and then me having to tank all the hits. By now I changed the skill tree, so the minions have a little bit more chaos damage and significantly more health. So as you can see in tier 15 maps, the skeletons have no problem tanking the Ritual. They get healed by the clerics, and my frost bombs killing everything from the back, so we can finish Rituals without major issues. I don't have them fully juiced yet, I only have 2 points in them, but still I think we are in a very good place for this build to run Rituals. Alright, that was the show off of some Pinnacle content. Right now in the background you can see a regular map. And let me know in the comments down below if you like this modus more when I do a show off first and then go into the introduction in the build. I would really be interested if I should keep this format for the near future. So I want to do a very short explanation of this build. It's not very difficult, but there's a few things you want to understand. First of all, we're using Skeletal Frost Mages. The main damage from Skeletal Frost Mages does not come from their attack, it comes from their ability, which is the command ability called Ice Bomb. So Ice Bomb falls from the sky, and because we use Spell Echo, it actually drops 2 bombs at once for literally double damage. Ice Bomb has a fairly long cooldown of roughly 6 seconds, and that's my assumption why it does so high damage, because it has such a long cooldown. However, if we run 8 or 9 Ice Mages, we can actually drop Ice Bombs pretty much all the time. All other abilities we use are mainly just for buffing our Skeletal Frost Mages. We use Pain Offering to give them significantly more damage, we use Frost Bomb to apply exposure so they do more damage, we use Hypothermia so we can curse mobs to do more damage, and in stationary fights we can use Sigil of Power to even give them more damage. We use Skeletal Clerics to heal them or revive them if they die eventually, and all the support gems we use on our Skeletal Frost Mages are pretty much just boosting their damage. With that being said, the Frost Mages are not ideal tanks for us, because most of the time they will be behind us, because we are running much faster than the Frost Mages. The Frost Mages will get distracted by everything which is attacking them in the background, and as their main attack doesn't deal substantial damage, they will fall behind. It is not a huge deal, we will just go on pushing forward and they will pour to us, and the command ability actually has an infinite range, so we can use it whenever we want. However, since our minions are not tanking for us, we have to tank for ourselves. We do that by getting a high amount of energy shield by investing heavily into energy shield nodes from our skill tree. We can do that because our minions really don't require a substantial amount of nodes to be effective. Furthermore, we're using our Ascendancy Soulless form together with Eternal Life and Heavy Buffer to mitigate 15% of all damage right off the bat. On top of that, we have a very high energy shield, and if shit really hits the fan, we can still use our Convalescence, which we have on Weapon Swap, which instantly activates and instantly starts recharging our energy shield and prevents the recharge from stopping when we getting hit for the duration of the ability. So there you have it, that's the quick rundown of the build. So make sure to check the description down below. You will find the Mobalytics link there, which has the PoE inside as well. You will find also trade links to all the items you will need for this build, for the 3 variants, level 65, level 75 and level 90. Also, you will find links to the sections of this guide. We are going over the skills, the passive tree, the items, and we also have a section where I explain you how to use my trade links and how to work with the weighted sums to buy items which are in your range of budget. And just one side note, if you like this guide so far and if you like my guides in general, make sure to like the video, subscribe and leave a comment down below. It really helps me growing the channel. So now, finally, without further ado, let's start with the detailed guide and we're gonna start with the skills. So let's start with the skills. First of all, I'm running Malice right now. So I think the best scepter you can actually run is the Rattling Scepter to just give you skeletons. Because you can sacrifice those skeletons with your Pain Offering and you don't have to sacrifice your Skeletal Clerics. And if you switch in for boss fights, I'm switching in the Muster support here, so that it would give you 7% extra damage. However, I don't have a Rattling Scepter and these seem to be the most expensive. Second choice I would use is an Omen Scepter with Malice. It gives you extra critical strike chance and that means extra damage. Third choice would be the Stoic Scepter with Discipline, and if you can get any of these, you know, anything else is pretty much irrelevant then, because the buff on the scepter is just gonna be single resistances or whatever, so it won't matter. However, I think Malice is a decent choice here. Then we have Sigil of Power. Sigil of Power is solely on our weapon swap, and we use it really only in stationary fights. So the problem is we cannot cast Sigil of Power during fights, because if we cast it, as you can see, our skeletons get removed because we don't have Scepter on our weapon swap. And as soon as we swap back, if you look at the cooldown here at the bottom, I have 3 ready right now, 3 bombs. If I switch, the bombs from the skeletons, even though they respawn, they go on cooldown. So this is nothing you can do while you're in fight. However, you can put this Sigil of Power when you're stationary in an expedition or a ritual or a boss fight for a significant damage boost, and that's why I choose it over the other alternative, which would be a Curse second weapon set here. Then Skeletal Reaver, I really just have for the Muster support here, so I can swap it with Magnified Effect on boss fights. So just ignore Skeletal Reaver, we don't use it. Then we have Skeletal Frost Mage. This is our main bread and butter, this is our main damage dealer. So what are we doing with Skeletal Frost Mage? So we are solely using Ice Bomb. So Ice Bomb is the spell on our skeletons we use. We use this with the command ability, and if you switch to this tab with the command ability, you will see your use time. If you don't have any cast speed, this is going to be like 1.5 seconds. It's going to be extremely slow. So this has a very, very slow cast speed. So you need a lot of cast speed to make this even remotely fluent. If you don't have any cast speed, it's gonna slow you down significantly while walking. As you can see, this slows you down a lot while you're walking. And this is with a relatively high cast speed already. So if you have lower cast speed, it's really not that enjoyable. So I highly recommend get cast speeds on your rings, on your focus, and maybe some from the skill tree. So let's look at the gems we are running here. So we are running Last Gasp here, so they last 4 seconds longer after dying. Ultimately, I will probably remove this gem when I'm really confident that my skeletons don't die. They still sometimes die, but not that often anymore. And you can still switch it back in bosses if you really need it. Then we run Feeding Frenzy for 30% more damage. We run Spell Echo, which effectively doubles the damage. However, it gives 30% less cast speed. That doesn't matter at all. Yes, the regular cast of the skeletons gets like lowered, but it doesn't really do that much damage. It does some damage, but it's not so important. But the cast speed for the Ice Bomb doesn't really matter for us, because it's a cooldown spell. So if we look at the Ice Bomb here, you can see this has a cooldown of 6 seconds and a cast time of 1.56. So it doesn't really matter that it takes like 1.56 seconds to drop and, you know, explode, because then it's gonna go on cooldown anyway. So we really don't have the negative here on Spell Echo, so this essentially just doubles our damage. Then we have Bidding Support for even more 30% more damage on the Spell Echo. And last but not least, I play a Magnified Effect, which is really nice for clearing. And in a boss setup, I switch it out for my Muster support here. Then we have Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb is really solely for applying exposure here. So we use it with Spell Cascade, so we cover a little bit more area. We use it with Strip Away for more exposure. And we use it with Font of Mana, so we can generate some extra mana while we're near our Frost Bomb. Then Hypothermia is our curse. We use it on stronger elites and bosses. We use Hate and Curse for more magnitude. We use Focus Curse so it erupts faster. And we use Inspiration so it has a little bit less cost because this is quite expensive and we really don't need the Inspiration anywhere else. Pain Offering is a great buff. You want to use it, you know, roughly like every 10 seconds, I would say. You use it in boss fights, use it versus elites. You can use it if there's a lot of mobs around your skeletons, because sometimes your skeletons get attacked from behind. So just use Pain Offering so they do significantly more damage. But this also significantly increases the damage of your Frostbomb, obviously. But they have to be in range of this. So if you're speeding through maps, they're gonna run out of range very fast. But whenever you're stationary, again, like Expedition, Ritual, boss fights, this is a tremendous damage buff for them. We use it with Dance Macabre to make it even more efficient. Then we use it with Ablation to make it even more efficient. And we use Persistence so it lasts longer. Then last but not least, for the minions here, we have Skeletal Cleric. I run 4 Skeletal Clerics. You can run 3. I wouldn't run less than 3 unless you have maybe lower Frost Mages. For me, the 9 Frost Mages and 4 Skeletal Clerics works very good. If you go down to 3, it will still work. With 2, you know, it will probably start getting a little bit chewy there, here and there. We use it with Sacrificial Lamp, so we can sacrifice it with priority when we cast our Pain Offering, because we don't want to sacrifice our Frost Mages with Pain Offering. Remember, if we have a Rattling Scepter, you want to put the Sacrificial Lamp on the Rattling Scepter, obviously. Because then we don't want to sacrifice the Clerics, we want to sacrifice the free Skeletons, basically. Then we use it with Arcane Tempo, so they heal a little bit faster, and we use Minion Mastery here to just give them +1 levels. Don't really see anything else we could use in this slot. And then last but not least, we have Convalescence. This is an extreme buff to your energy shield and to your survivability. I think it's due to a little bit of a bug right now, because this actually doesn't swap weapons. But how it works is, if we swap weapon, now you can see I have 6k energy shield, right? As soon as I swap back, I will have energy shield missing. And then I'm going to press Convalescence here on the right. So let's swap back and now press it. And as you can see, my energy shield is regenerating when I cast this. But this didn't actually swap my weapons, right? So you can see I'm still on my Scepter setup right now. So it basically is just a free buff, and it starts recharging your energy shield, and it's never going to get interrupted while the buff is active. So it's extremely strong, and it doesn't actually swap weapons, so I highly recommend using this on your weapon slot too. We use it with Ingenuity here, so we have less cooldown. We use it with Upwelling, so it just gives our minions a little bit more damage while it's active. And we use it with Clarity, so we get a little bit more mana rack when it's active. Obviously, if you have more than 10 Spirit, you can use your Clarity in your Malice or anywhere else. But, you know, I don't have enough Spirit to slot the Clarity regularly, so at least I have it when I'm running Convalescence here. And you know what? These Spectres are just for Pokemon. So let's talk a little bit about the items and the item priority. You have all the trade links for my gear in the description down below, and you want to sort them by the weighted sum. If you don't know how that works, just jump to the section buying gear in this guide, and I will exactly explain you how to use my trade links. So let's start with the scepter. So I recommend getting a +3 scepter for now. Try to get a lot of spirit on it. I mean, you know, it's fine if you just get 150 to 130. It's nice if you can get more. Damage buff spells and critical hit chance spell buffs on minions are nice. The mana is not required at all. So this is not the greatest piece, but it's good enough for me right now. The next upgrade will be a +4, but that's going to cost me several divines. Same with your amulet. If you cannot afford a +3, rather go for a +2. You want to have +2 or +3 minion skills. You want to have increased cast speed. You want to have as much maximum life as possible, and you know, you can have resistances or other stats. The maximum mana, again, here doesn't really matter at all. And right now, since we are using level 20 gems now, we allocate mental toughness here. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but the 15% reduced mana cost really helps tremendously sustaining your mana, because this build is really, really mana hungry. If you don't have enough cash for mental toughness, I recommend going for long distance, what it's called, long distance relationship. So, if I could find it. There it is. So I recommend going for long distance relationship. This is fairly cheap to anoint, and it gives you presence, area of effect, and minions have area of effect, which is a really nice anoint if you don't have so much cash to spare for the mental toughness anoint. Then let's go with our focus. So we focus on our focus. We want to have the highest energy shield as possible, and we want to have cast speed. All the other stuff is pretty much not so relevant. Mana regeneration is very nice if you have it, because again, the build is fairly mana hungry. But I would prioritize on cast speed, high energy shield, and then mana regeneration. Same goes for your helmet. You want to have high energy shield. Mine is not the highest, but it's nice. You want to have as much maximum life as possible, if you can get it, and you want to have +2 minions, and you can use some resistance on it, but you don't have to. Then for our chest piece, we want to have high energy shield with 50 plus spirit. Again, you don't need resistance on here. You can fix it without. You don't need life on here. This is a decent piece because I happen to corrupt the 4% extra energy shield. Aim for something with 400 plus if you don't have the cash to get one of these yet. Then for our boots, we go for movement speed. You want to have a resistance and high energy shield again if possible. Rarity is a nice bonus, but don't sweat it. For our gloves, same, you can get high energy shield, but it's mainly to fix resistances, so I use these to get maximum life, some resistances, and chaos resistance. Same for our belt. I use it to fix the resistance and chaos resistance, and it's nice to get as much maximum life on this as possible. Then we have the rings. So for the rings, again, you can use them to fix resistances, but I recommend to have as much cast speed on the rings as possible, at least 20 on every ring. This end, you want to have mana regeneration. Maximum life is your bonus. So focus on increased cast speed, then resistances, then mana regeneration. Same for your second ring. Here you can see I'm using it to fix some chaos resistance. Again, all res, cast speed, and some maximum life is always nice. So let's not forget about our weapon swap. So on our weapon swap, we just want to have a chiming stuff with Sigil of Power, and the only thing which even remotely matters is plus to all spell skills. However, it is not a huge difference. You want to have level 18 Sigil of Power, and you want to have any plus to all spell skills. All the other stats are completely irrelevant. But the difference is not huge. You will have 14% per stage without the spell skills. And with the spell skills, you will have 15%. So it ends up being a 4% more damage, which is still something, but it's not incredibly important. You can also get a +3. I think it will also be +15. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on a +6 or whatever. It doesn't make any sense. Just get a +4 or +3. It's going to be fine. And don't forget to quality it up by 20%, because that's actually going to give you 0.8 meters more radius here. Alright, let's look at the passive tree. So if you don't have your Force Ascendancy yet, you're gonna skip Eternal Life. So you're gonna do this in the following order. First, you're gonna get Necromantic Conduit, then you're gonna get Soulless Form, then you're gonna get your Jewel Socket, and then you're gonna get your Eternal Life. So in this build, since we're focusing more on Energy Shield, we switch from minion damage to Energy Shield. So we go this route. We pick up the Energy Shield nodes, we pick up the Faster Revival, obviously we pick up this, and we pick up the skill effect duration here. We don't really need the increased chaos damage, but 15% skill effect duration for one node is a very nice addition you can get here. Then we pick up all this Energy Shield here. We pick up all these minion nodes here, so they revive faster and have a significantly amount of more healths. We pick up even more minion survivability here for chaos resistance and increased maximum life. Minion damage here. Energy shield and intelligence here. We go to the jewel socket. Then we pick up this minion cluster. We pick up this minion cluster, this minion cluster, and the spirit. Again, I don't have this node right now because I don't need the extra spirit. I couldn't reach 10 if I grab it. But you can definitely grab this node if you feel like it. It kind of depends. If you have enough spirit, you pick it. If you don't have enough spirit, you skip it, basically. And we have this energy shield nodes here as well in the traversal. So this is kind of the skill tree for the I have 8,500 energy shield. So let's talk quickly about the weapon sets. So our weapon set 2 is mainly area of effect and skill effect duration. So it's really just for Sigil of Power. And it might work for the Convalescence buff. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Then we have here even more area of effect. We have even more skill effect duration here. And we have some more skill effect duration here. So this is my set 2. If you want to run a curse setup in set 2, you can probably also do this. I prefer the Sigil of Power setup. And yeah, for one, weapon set 1 is pretty much just all this minion damages here. You see here in red. And that's about it. So about the jewels. So I stepped away from using minion area of effect jewels. I feel like I don't need so much area of effect, so I rather tended to go for damage and supportive stats. Because it's very hard to scale minion damage. You only have a limited amount of node, right? You have this cluster, you have this cluster, and this cluster. Then you have these, and there's some down here, but they are fairly far away. I wouldn't get these. So you have very little damage nodes for minions. So what are you gonna do? Well, you have your jewel slots. So in all my jewel slots, I'm getting minion critical hit chance and minion damage. And this is actually the only exception. I don't have minion damage in this here right now. I have effect of wizard, which is also a little bit of minion damage, but not so significant. I just slotted this in here because it has energy shield and mana wreck. But ideally, you would want to have minion damage and minion crit in here as well. And then if you look at my other jewels, here is one which has, again, you can see minion damage, minion critical hit chance, and mana regeneration. This one here has mana regeneration, minion damage, and minion critical hit chance again. And this one here has also minion critical hit chance and minion damage, cast speed. So this is kind of the idea. So since we don't have enough minion nodes, we just stack critical strike on our minions, which gives us a little bit more damage scaling on them. And it also synergizes with your scepter. So you can pick up a scepter with critical hit chance in your presence. It's also greatly going to boost your minion damage. Alright, how do you use my trade links? So first of all, you will find trade links either in the Mobalytics planner. If you scroll down, you will see a section trade links. It's in the section how it works. And you will also find it in the YouTube video description. You will find the trade links. So a couple of things to work with trade links. So let's just open one here, for example, the Scepter +3. So my trade links always work the same way. You're going to end up on a page which looks like this. And you're always going to have weighted sums which you want to sort. So if you look at the settings, you will see basically the filters I set, and you will see the budget. So sometimes it will be empty, sometimes this will be 100 exalts or whatever. So you basically want to choose, hey, what is my budget? How much do I want to spend for, in this case, a scepter? Let's just say you want to spend 20 exalts for a scepter, and you do search. And then you will find the ones for 1 exalt, obviously, which you don't want. And then you always sort by this larger weighted sum here. And once you sort, you will see, okay, this is the best items which are for 20 exalts, right? And now if you see these are all 20 exalts, right? So you want to start scrolling down until you find something which is maybe more in your budget. Because you know what? Maybe you find a good deal. This one has 308, this one has 314. So these are not very different from my weighting standpoint. But this one only costs half. So whenever you see something in the weighted sum which makes no sense, like this one, for example, right? It's 1 exalt 10 minutes ago. This is a great deal. You want to buy this. Even though it might not be perfect, you know, you can save a lot of exalts for other gear. And since these filters are already high level, right? This one is only a 318 sum. You might want to consider, if you have the currency, either switching this to like 100 exalts, right? And you will see much better ones. You will see some 400 here, which has 157 spirit and a lot of good stats. And you want to consider putting this to Divine Orb. So currently there's no good filter to filter for equivalents. You only get garbage. So you might also want to say, hey, I maybe want also spend a maximum of 2 Divine Orbs. And then here you see the best one is 486, right? So this is always the same way how you work with my filters. You will always find a weighted sum. And sometimes for armor pieces, it will be relevant to do energy shield. So let's, for example, go for the high energy shield helmet, for example. So this is made for like 100 Exalt, so this is made for expensive items now. So let's say your budget is only 10, right? You're not gonna find anything because sometimes I have energy shield filters. So if you don't find anything because there's energy shield filters, then you just lower the energy shield filter and you see, okay, this is one item for 10 Exalt, might be a good deal. But, you know, you might also lower it to like something like 180 then. And, you know, you will see items popping up in your budget. So just adjust the filters to fit your budget and buy the gear you want. Don't get crazy on very expensive gear. Most of the time, the last 10% in gear quality cost you a fortune. So the difference between a 10 Exalt gear and a 50 Exalt gear might just be 5 to 10% in actual character power. But yeah, that's just a short introduction on how to work with my trade filters. I hope you find this useful, and let's go on with the guide.